guys, I'm Sophia. I'm in the theater department and I'm going to be a junior. I've got a little bit of experience with portfolios, so I wanted to give you my perspective on the do's and don'ts of building it. And I'm going to show some pictures of some great examples of portfolios, as well as just show you mine. This is just for like newbies or people who want advice. Must-haves for your portfolio: your name. Put your name on the outside. A little sticker or a piece of paper that's taped. If you don't have a resume for your first page, just put your name, your age. Leave the first page free of design, pictures, etc. Put your most recent work at the beginning of the portfolio. When somebody first opens a portfolio, you want the first page to wow them. Put your best work at the beginning. Have movable pages. If you want to glue your pictures, often it makes sense to glue stuff on a piece of paper. Have two pieces of paper that you can easily take out of one sleeve so that they're not always forced to be together. Don'ts of your portfolio: don't include a bunch of pictures of yourself. The theater department teachers have given notes that people were including too casual of photos. So having a bunch of pictures of you and your friends hanging out is not as good as a picture that is just your work. Make sure to give credit to whoever designed something. If you helped paint or helped build, that's great. Include that in the portfolio, but credit who was the designer and who was the head. Okay, now this is what you need in your portfolio. So I'm just gonna give you a rundown. Now, I don't remember exactly what classes I took as a freshman, but you wanna have representation of each design class you took. If this means a color wheel, then that's what I put. I put my color wheel. I also put an assortment of drawings I did during my design class. Examples of shading, examples of drawing, examples of perspective. I labeled most of the things I did that weren't self-explanatory. This is what I included from my drawing and perspective stuff. If you have this stuff, please include it. It really fills it up. You can label what classes they're from, but because I did an assortment, I didn't. You can label, design class. You can label drafting, but just having it all in there and being able to talk about what it is important. Another thing, you can totally include fabric. You don't have to take pictures of your stitches. Just put the stitches in your portfolio. So I wrote hand stitching and I labeled it. I used a printer to create my labels and some back paper so you can see better. Obviously the glare is not great, but this says hand stitching. This is just a description of all of the stitches in the photo. So running stitch, prick stitch, catch stitch. You can redo all of your stitches on one piece of fabric that fits the page. That's a great idea. You can iron them if they are bunchy. I lost a lot of my drafting, but that does not mean I didn't include it. Just a draft of my white card model. So I put the original draft, or maybe this was a copy, and 2 photos of my final product. So using the things that you had for your interviews for showcases is totally okay and encouraged. So I have a bunch of that. This was my design that I did when I was using card inspiration for costumes. Let's say I want to get this somehow into my portfolio to show that I did a presentation. So there's a couple of things you can do. First, you can take a picture of the collage and just take a picture, convert it to a computer, print it out in the right size. Second, if your collage is small enough, find a way to fit it into the portfolio. Third, in my case, I did this digitally, so I'm going to reprint the costumes I designed these two and put them into the portfolio on their own and then reposition these photos. So it'll be just kind of a recollage of what I've already done. Here is an inspiration color storyboard. So I had a huge color storyboard that I did for design class, and I took a picture of it and I inserted it here. So just how I was talking about the collages earlier, you can just put those collages, images in your portfolio. Having all of those components is really helpful. Having swatches, photos, labels. Okay, so let's say I'm out of stuff. I have representation for each of my classes. I have all of my design interview stuff from showcases this year, and I still feel like I'm out. I don't have enough. So go back to your old warm-ups, redo them way better, maybe add color or detail, much fuller scale. I did this the full size of my paper, and create like a second kind of, and do it like a second trial. So I labeled November 2018 for my warm-up, and I labeled May 2019 for my redo, and it kind of just showed my progress. So we did the bird's eye perspective of a city in November of my freshman year. So that was 2018. This is the first one. And then I redid it right before our portfolio presentations in May 2019. And I redid it on a full scale so that it would look good in my portfolio. So you're stuck. What else do you add to your portfolio? Here's what I did when I was stuck. I was in a show at the time that I was performing outside of school, so I knew the show really well. I picked something that I knew I could handle, and I just created some costume design. It was the Drowsy Chaperone, so I wrote that here, which character I was playing. It was 1920s women's fashion, so I wanted to note that I had done research and I knew what time period I was talking about. And then I detailed which scene and song she was in each costume. The color scheme is a little interesting. Yeah, okay. So, process pictures. Hopefully you've been taking them. A great way to keep track of them is to just keep them in an album on your phone. Ask your friends for process pictures. Create a group chat and share all of them. You guys want to have this stuff. It shows that you've been working. Now, these can be process pictures from shadowing, from crew, from something you did during class, a design class. Literally anything that you had a hand in. Totally okay if you didn't design something yourself. Let's say you helped paint the color purple set. You can include that. You just have to say, I helped paint the set, and then credit the designer. Portfolio. Portfolios are not about drawing. They're about any art that you've done that represents your artistic process. So this is part of my artistic process. You can include songs, scripts, screenplays that you've written. Don't take too much space with them because they can be lengthy. Costume designers. You can put your costume plots in your portfolio. Say, costume designer for Sister Act. Here's my costume plot. Here's some inspiration. Here's a costume I designed. I'll probably take 2 pages for that this year. So if you're a stage manager, you probably aren't going to have a ton of photos. All the kinds of things that you use to interview for stage manager, prop lists, plots are totally okay to put in your portfolio. So I put my resume in the front page of my portfolio. I did not put anything else in my portfolio. If somebody opens it, it's really clean to have just one sheet of paper that has all of your information on it. Building this type of resume is a little bit of a separate thing, but I'll just give you some quick guidelines. I have my height, weight, hair, eye color, ways to contact me. I have stage experience, so that means the show, the role, the location. I have a section for training, acting, voice, dance, guitar, whatever you want to include here. So let's say, for dance, I have ballet, jazz, tap, and modern, and then I wrote the studio that I dance at. Special skills, you can kind of repeat a little bit this stuff, but things like guitar are great for special skills. Dialects that you can speak. Kind of what my resume looks like. It's just kind of simply separated. Now, there's not really a correct way to do your resume, but this is clean, concise, easy to read, and it's good if you haven't been in a lot of stuff. Put recent shows at the top of the list because people want to know what you've done recently. In conclusion, put your best foot forward. Make this clean. Label everything. Give credit. Put your best work first. Best foot forward, always. Include representation of every class. If you don't have something, redo it, replicate it. If something isn't good, redo it. Show your progress if you think the progress is important. If you did design work outside of school, include it. This is so important. Include it on your resume. Include it in the portfolio. It's important that you're confident in your work, that you have your name on it, that you can tell it's yours, but that you've given the credit where it needs to go. Here are some great examples of portfolio work that I've seen throughout the years. I'm going to put some pictures and credit them. Let me know if you have any questions. Thanks for tuning in.
I will be your friend. Take it easy.